So preseason football probably hasn't been this exciting or interesting the past 20 years up there in New England because of who? TB12. But last year you had all eyes on Cam Newton. This year it's still Cam Newton, but now you got another guy, Mac Jones, who the Patriots selected 15 overall in this past year's draft. Newton trying to be QB1 so far, splitting hairs with Mac Jones, and Bill Belichick hasn't named a starter just yet after that first preseason game. Both, of course, getting a chance to run with the ones and twos, and looking at their game, of course, against Washington that first game, not too bad. Cam, of course, getting a start there, just 49 yards. As for Mac Jones, showing what we saw kind of flashes at Alabama, leading that unit just 87 yards, neither throwing a touchdown or interception. So, of course, more evaluations heading their way in New England. All right, to shed a little more light on the situation in New England, Jason Lockenford tapping in this morning. JOC, any idea where Belichick might be swaying when it comes to that number one QB?
Well, look, we know he doesn't say much in general, and he's not going to tip his hand. But having watched them practice against the Philadelphia Eagles this week in Philly ahead of their game Thursday night, for what it's worth, Cam Newton continues to get almost all the work with the ones. However, it was not an incredibly smooth operation. There were issues in regular 11-on-11 drills, sort of between the 20s, where Cam was indecisive, holding the ball too long, taking what amounted to sacks, and really just a lot of dink and dunk stuff underneath or screens out to the side. And even in the 2-minute drill, it was a little bit rough as well, and that 11-on-11 session ended with an interception in the end zone. So they're working through some things. There's obvious things that Cam does, though, physically, that Mac Jones can't. But Jones working with the twos against inferior, not as good defenders. He threw the ball well outside the hash marks by and large, certainly better than Cam did. He pushed the ball downfield more than Cam did, and he seemed intent on getting that ball out of his hands and not holding it, frankly, which has been a problem for Cam. His 2-minute drill finished with a beautiful touchdown pass in the back of the end zone. I believe that Bill Belichick can devise a role for both of these players, and I don't think he's going to be averse to switching and toggling in-game. In fact, I think that idea probably intrigues him a little bit. We've seen Sean Payton do it with Taysom Hill and Drew Brees, guys with different skill sets at different points in their career. I think he's intrigued by what Jones can do when he needs tempo, when he needs to hurry up, when he needs to just keep things going through the air. But he also knows what Cam Newton's presence does to force an extra defender to play the quarterback because he might run the ball, and what that opens up for others in the run game, and what that could look like. So we'll see. Still plenty of time to go. Could Jones unseat him? It's not out of the question. No one's going to bully Belichick one way or the other, but I think he's going to devise a plan that involves both of them.
All right, so of course New England's still trying to figure out who's going to be QB1, or as you said, a 2 QB system. That'd be interesting. Meanwhile, in Cincinnati, they already know who their guy is, Joe Burrow, but don't seem to be in a rush to kind of get him out there. Head coach Zach Taylor said Monday that Burrow will not suit up once again for a preseason game, this one against Washington. Are they being a little too cautious here with Joe trying to get him back on the field?
I don't think you can be too cautious. You know, this is the franchise. When I was in Cincinnati, everyone there, including Joe Burrow, was being very honest about what he was going through mentally and physically. And if he's not completely right and the game doesn't matter in the standings and you're not sure you're starting guards yet and you're still working through some things with your offensive line, then no, you're not going to play him. And Mike Brown, the owner, seemed to indicate before camp started that he didn't necessarily think we'd see Burrow at all in the preseason, and I'm inclined to believe that's how it plays out, just from a risk-reward standpoint. You know, yes, he's around other players. It's more real. But he's also sort of exercising those demons at a time where there's really nothing to gain from a competitive standpoint in the standings. There's nothing to gain in terms of pulling out of the doldrums and being competitive late in the season and maybe getting to the playoffs. And there's potentially a lot to lose, like the ability to do all those things with a healthy Joe Burrow still under center come December. So I don't have any issues with how they're handling things, but what you really need to look for is week 1 and onward. Are they staying balanced? Are they being true to what they're saying, not living an empty set 5 wide and exposing him to potentially free runners? They ran the ball 33 times in the first preseason game. I found that to be the most important stat in that game. And also a lot of passes to running backs, high percentage stuff. That's what they need to do with Joe Burrow early in the season, especially to keep him comfortable and get him comfortable.
So since he's taking care of the franchise there, meanwhile in Seattle, Jamal Adams inking a 4-year extension in Seattle, 5 months of negotiation. And when you look at this contract, JLC, did they have to really make this deal considering the draft capital that they spent to trade for him? Is this something they needed to do? It's a lot of money. We don't see too often with Seattle.
No, it's a lot of money for what amounts to a box safety. I mean, this is a player who, when he affects the ball in the air, it's by getting to the quarterback as a hybrid linebacker. It's by blitzing. It's not by playing center field. It's not by, coverage by and large. I talked to 2 salary cap guys last night. Neither one liked the deal from the team's perspective. Thought it's too much money for this player's skill set. And yes, it's born of them making this blockbuster trade without having any cost certainty. When that happens, almost undoubtedly, you're going to end up resetting the market because you pinned yourself in the corner. We've seen it with Jalen Ramsey. We've seen it with the situation with the Texans and trading for Laramie Tunsil. And we've seen it here. I don't know that he's going to be able to live up to this unless, again, in a pass-first league, he starts making plays 10, 15, 20 yards downfield on the ball. And he's been in the league for a while now. That's not what he does best. So I guess they kind of had to do it given the position they put themselves in. But I'm not sure that this contract is going to be all roses and bouquets for Seattle.
Yeah, $17.5 million annually there for Jamal Adams. He's happy. We'll see if Seattle is happy in the next years to come. Jason Lockenfor, as always, my friend, appreciate your time. Don't forget, check out the All Things Covered. Of course, Patrick Peterson, along with our Brian McFadden. They were in Skull Nation not too long ago. Pete Prisco was there breaking down the top 100. Then also B-Mac and the 2 splitting hairs when it comes to the Vikings winning division.
B-Mac likes him. B-Mac likes him.
Want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis. No yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.